How you doing, Steve?
Interesting. Okay.
Well, you've added to your squad with Gonzalo Montiel.
Yeah.
Tell us about him. Why were you keen to bring him here to Nottingham Forest?
Well, I think as a club, we're always interested in bringing good players in, like any sort of thriving Premier League squad is what we want to become. You need as much competition and as much strength as depth as you can, and we saw that as an example of that. So pleased he's here. Obviously comes with great pedigree and is well known. Trained today for the first time, looked at home, and we look forward to working with him.
He is a World Cup winner. He scored the winning penalty in that World Cup final, also scored the winning penalty in the Europa League final as well. What does that say about his strength of character, do you think?
Well, okay, it doesn't get any bigger, does it, really, in terms of moments? So, incredible, really, to think that's the case. But yeah, they are moments of character, of resilience and confidence, and let's hope that he and the rest of the squad can show that in helping us improve and get better, which is what we're all aiming to do. So some great reference points for him in terms of that, and like I said, if you can add it to us, then we will be a better squad.
Could he be involved with your squad at the weekend? And how much of a headache does he give you in terms of your team selection? We saw Serge Aurier getting a couple of assists against Sheffield United. A big competition now. Yeah,
but like I said, that's what we want. We and I think that the idea is that we add more players from now until the end of the window. So if that's headaches, then I'm okay with that. And I think there should be more dilemmas, decisions, whatever you want to call it. So I'm okay with that. I would rather be that way than the other way. And that's the life of a manager, making decisions. So yeah, we just, like I said, we want as many good players here as we can that fit into what we want to do. You're right to mention Serge. We're very happy with him. He's a big player for us, big character in and amongst the dressing room and the training ground. So the more sort of good assets we can have, the stronger we can be, including young players, including experienced players. Like I said, put it all together, and that can be the strength of the group.
How much more business can we expect to see before the transfer window closes next week, both incomings and outgoings?
Yeah, I think it's hard to say how much, but I think for sure that will be the case. Like I said, we as a club everybody has been trying really hard to add players, and of course with that there are always players that will have to leave or will want to leave, and there's different situations around different players. So fairly normal at this time of year in terms of the situation that we find ourselves in. But as I said, if we can add to the squad, then fantastic. If we don't, because we don't feel it's right for the club, then we carry on as we are, working really hard, really believing in the players that we have, committing. I have to say, training's been excellent. Never any question around attitude or commitment or will to do well here. And it's a good everyday working environment. So if we don't add, then we carry on with that. If we do, then hopefully it makes us better, and that's the idea.
In terms of potential outgoings, the speculation continues over Brennan Johnson. Have you had any further bids for him, inquiries about him?
I'm not sure. I mean, I don't deal with that. I just deal obviously with Brennan day to day, and we're talking a lot at the moment, but they're normal conversations about performance and development and everything else that goes around him being at his best or aiming to be at his best, and that's our plan. That's what we do, and if we get told at some stage things change, not just him, with any of the players, then we'll deal with it then. But I can imagine there is speculation around Brennan. I don't sort of pay attention myself to it, but he's a really talented young player. That's that the exciting bit is that he's got a lot more to come as well. So but we love working with him as a player. We love him as a boy, and like I said, day to day, we're really continuing to enjoy working with him and everybody else.
And it's not affecting his mindset at all. He's not sort of said to you, "I want to leave," or
no. Like I said, we don't really have them discussions. We talk about everything, but mainly football. And like I said, performance, the last game, the next game, and what we want to get out of the week, and the individual work that we do with him, and not just him, everybody else. And one thing's for sure is Brennan loves his football, whether it's training or matches, and that's a big strength of his. So that's just where our focus is, really, Kirsty.
You're getting ready for another game this weekend. You didn't have much joy on the road last season. And you didn't have much joy against Manchester United last season either, 4 defeats against them. Do you take the confidence from the start to the season you've had?
Well, I think all of that question is relevant, really, in terms of the challenge for the weekend. I mean, first and foremost, it's Manchester United at Old Trafford. And in any given time of the season, that is right up there, with the toughest stage to play on. So that's that. Without any other context, you're right about the 4 games. We played them four times last year. Obviously, the 2 games in the semi-final, and truth be told, we didn't perform anywhere near the level to compete in the game. And we've talked about that a lot. 1, because obviously we play United this weekend, and 2, if we want to improve the away form, if we want to become a better team, if we want to grow as a group, then these are the games that, first and foremost, we can play better in and show good belief and good commitment. And then on the back of that, get some better results than what we've had. So I say quite openly, because until things change, we'll always get asked about our away form when away games come up, and rightly so. And we have to face up to that. We have to own it, because it is what it is, and there's nothing good about it. But we're not going to hide away from it. And do everything we can to try and change it. And United's next. We've got to show as a group that we can do better than what we've done before against them. It's our internal challenge. It's Man United, Old Trafford, and all that sort of stuff, but it's our internal challenge as well, to see that we have improved, and we are capable of doing better. So that's really a big part of our planning, is to see that we can go there and just be a better version than what we were last year.
And what do you make to their form? Do you take much notice of the criticism they've had about their start?
I'd pay zero to, if that's gone on, then I'm not aware of it, because I don't sort of live in that world. And even if I did, I'd pay zero attention to it, because as soon as you start analysing an opponent, as we do now at our level, then you see that they are full of really, really good players, and they play in a good way. And if you don't get certain things right, they're capable of hurting you in a number of ways. So that's the relevance to us. That's the focus, as well as what I said in the previous question about us being a better version of ourselves than what we were last year. So it goes no further than that, really.
Thanks.
Thanks, Kirsty. Thanks. Cheers. How you doing, mate?
How you doing? All right.
Yeah, good.
Analysis must have been interesting though with Manchester United, given some big signings. They were pretty lucky against Wolves, with that disputable penalty. A caneless Spurs beat them last week. What have you made of your analysis over United's start?
Well, I'm not saying any of them things are untrue, of course, but I also see that they missed a lot of chances, or created a lot of chances, I should say, and I've played some really good football, and you see a lot of repetition in their game, which, as a team sort of grows together, then things become stronger. Plus, they're full of world-class players, So, and you only need a moment or two, maybe like the goal against Wolves, to define the outcome of a game. So, so we're aware of all of these things. But I go back to, we're very much focusing on ourselves at the moment, because we realise that, okay, you've got to talk about any opponent and Manchester United next and whatever else. But at the moment, we've got to sort out doing better away from home. And I think that's got to start with ourselves. And that's where our work is at the moment. That's where our attention is. And that's where our planning is. And it doesn't mean that we will do better, but we've certainly got to aim to, and we've got to believe that we can. And it doesn't go, like I said to Kirsty, it doesn't go much further than that.
as Kirsty mentioned, you've signed a World Cup winner. Last season, you had a Champions League winner in goal. That must be great for the confidence of the younger players playing at Forest. But can it whet the appetite of players like Brennan Johnson to want to go on to do better?
Well, I hope so, because I think it's always good to have examples of what can be achieved. And if you're sharing dressing rooms and training pitches and stadiums and games together, then sometimes you can see what it takes to get there. We certainly learned a load from Kalo last year in terms of his application to his profession and his humbleness, really. Regardless of what he'd achieved, he was just such a good guy and really bought into being part of the team here, and that came first for him above anything else. So we're just getting started with Gonzalo. It's only through the door yesterday, but he does bring with him them things that you mentioned, and they don't happen by coincidence. So yeah, it'll be great to delve into at some stage on what it was like being part of a World Cup winning team and the role that he played, and obviously not just the defining penalty, but everything else. And that will be something that hopefully can help the group, because every member of the playing team has got something to add in terms of what they bring as a player and as a person. And you think of Cheikhou Kouyate's influence for Senegal, and I mean, he's a winner, and Serge is captain of the Ivory Coast, and Remo Freuler has had some really big moments, for Switzerland. So, and the list could go on. So Morgan, if you like, has just won the under-21s, and I know that's not senior, but he's still a winner. So all of these things can be relevant in terms of us achieving our objectives as well, and we encourage a lot of dialogue amongst the players. We like them to have a voice. We like them to have an opinion, and don't always agree with them, but sometimes it's important to hear them. And we encourage them to bring themselves out of themselves to add value to the group. So it's not just with the guys you mentioned in the question; it's with everybody, really. It's part of our culture.
Would keeping Brennan here be as good as a big signing?
Well, I'm not thinking. I'm just working with him day to day, and just I've always loved working with Brennan. It's been nearly 2 years now I've been here, and every day has been great to work with him and all of the guys, and to see him grow over them 2 years and develop, has been really, really pleasing. And it always comes down to what the player does, nobody else. And Brennan's really, really committed to his improvement, and at times has carried a lot of responsibility for the team with his goals and with his assists and with his ability to make the difference at the top end of the pitch. The year we got promoted, and obviously, some real defining moments for us last year. So, well, I don't think anything further than, if I'm being honest, the next training session with him and then the next game, because that's the way we work anyway. Live in the moment, get as much as you can out of it, and until things change, if they do or they don't, then that's what we'll do.
And just finally, team news and long-term injured, any updates?
No, I mean, I don't want to speak too soon, because we know it's been the last year or so, but we're in a fairly healthy position. There is still a lot of lads returning to full fitness. Felipe's back out on the grass training, but obviously he hasn't trained or played for months, so he's not ready. Ola's back in part training. I think that's it, really, isn't it? Yeah. So for the moment, we're doing all right, but let's not say any more, because we know how things go when you talk too much about things like that. And gives us a thriving training group and selection decisions for games.
Touch wood.
Yeah, I'm looking for it.
Mark.
Oh.
Thank you.
Hi, Steve. Hope you can hear me from back here. I know you've spoken a lot about Brennan Johnson already. With the conversations that you've had, do you get the impression that he's happy here, that he wants to stay?
I was definitely happy. I mean, he's one of the things that when I talk about seeing him grow and seeing him develop, it's not just being on the pitch; it's off the pitch as well. And he's a fine young man. There's no doubt about that. He's he's been brought up brilliantly, and but he also has a good character as well, and he's right in the mix with a good atmosphere in the group. So he's not really the new kid on the block. He's right in amongst it, really. So he's always happy and smiling, and if there's any sort of joking, that goes on, which obviously is at the right time, then he's never too far away from it. And but then at the same time, when it's time to work, I see a real focused lad, which I've always seen, and a real commitment to how we work and some of the stuff that we do with these boys on and off the pitch. And there's always 100% application. So I don't know what's going on, if anything is at all, but I haven't seen any change in him, that's for sure.
As somebody that's experienced a lot in football yourself, can you understand, I'm not saying that this is the case, but could you understand why young players, first of all, might have their head turned by an established club that's putting in an offer, but also how some players might be torn between loyalty and ambition?
Well, it's not an unusual situation. There's always transfers in football clubs, and there's always forward steps to make. We'll all of us will have that in the room, where there's always something to aim for. So if that's the situation, there's nothing new there. You've got to be careful we don't assume. Sometimes there's a lot of stuff that you can assume with what might be happening, what somebody might be thinking, etc., etc. And that's why I go back to, for me and Brennan, because that's what the question's about, or any other players, we don't look past the present, and that is making sure we get the most out of today. And we've trained really well this morning, and as have all the boys, it's been a really, really good training week, and we'll start again tomorrow and try and get the most out of him tomorrow, and then see what happens at Old Trafford. And that's really where I'm thinking. Talking
about the Premier League as a whole now, often people talk about second season syndrome. A club might have done quite well in their maiden season. In the Premier League, second season, they tend to struggle. And it comes to mind Sheffield United and Leeds, although one of them didn't go down. How do you avoid that for you? Obviously, you've played a team that was title challenging. You've also played a team that came up as well. So how do you see things going? How do you make sure that you don't?
Well, it depends on the outlook. So I personally will be more focused on the teams that have done well in the second year. That's my mindset. I'm trying to be glass half full and look at what you can do rather than what you can't do. Brentford, for example, last season, strength to strength. So you're right in what you say, though. There is good examples of the negative second season. But if we come into it thinking like that, then guess what? That tends to happen without even knowing it. So for me personally, and for our culture and our training ground and our atmosphere, we want to be looking at things that we can achieve, not just about survival. So respect the league massively. It's incredibly tough, game in, game out, and you 100% have to earn the right, to get any point or 3 points from any single game. And that will always be at the core of everything that we do. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with thinking that you can do a bit better, and that you can grow and you can improve. Don't assume that's going to happen. Like I said, don't take it for granted, but you have to have that belief that can happen. Otherwise, I don't think it does. But there's a lot of hard work and a lot of good things that need to happen for us to do that. But we're certainly going to give it a go.
And just a final question. You mentioned there about how incredibly tough the Premier League is. Yeah. And I know you've added huge experience and a World Cup winner, but how do you get the message across to these new players just how tough the Premier League is, game in, game out? And obviously, with all due respect, it's not La Liga, it's not a World Cup where an unfancied team can do reasonably well. There is that element of consistency that you need, and a bit of luck, of course.
Yeah, I'm not sure about comparing it to other leagues or international tournaments and things like that, because anything that you achieve in football has to be earned. There's no doubt about that, wherever it is across the world, domestically or international football. But if you just talk about the Premier League, yeah, I mean the clearest way of learning about that is playing a game, and feeling the atmosphere, and whether it's here at the City Ground or Old Trafford on the weekend. You know, the Emirates a couple of weeks ago. And you know, these games now are big events. You know, and you're on the bigger stage. So that's the biggest sort of experience you can get in terms of learning how tough this league is, and everything is just at the highest level, from technical and tactical requirements to athletic ability, and the list goes on, mentality, and you know, so yeah, you know, you quickly have to get on board with that to be able to thrive. You know, there's no doubt about that, and we learned sometimes the hard way last year, and sometimes we learned in a good way. You know, and we'll continue to do that. Hopefully, you know, not too many harsh lessons, but that can happen. You know, you can play well in this league and still not get the result that you want. Not very often does it happen the other way, I don't think, because, you know, like I said, you've got to earn everything. But you know, I think the best thing of being able to cope with this league is spending some time in it, you know, and really feeling it.
Great, Steve. Good luck for the weekend.
You too, mate.
Charlie.
Charlie?
Hello, Steve. How are you?
Alright.
Just one really quick one about Gonzalo Montiel. Already touched on winning penalty in the World Cup final, winning penalty in the Europa League final. He's your penalty taker right now, isn't he? Does he come straight in and he gets the spot kick?
Well, let's see if he's available first. for let's not assume. But I think it's good to know that you can have a tough decision to make on penalty takers. So yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But at the moment, it's he's not here just to take penalties. He's here to make a difference, you know, on the pitch, and you know, he's got to show us that he can do that, which I'm sure he will. You know, trained today for the first time and settled in really well. So yeah, right at the infancy of his time here, but we're looking forward to working with him.
Thanks, Steve.
You too, Matt.
Great.
Pass the mic.
Hi, Steve. I know. I passed the parcel. Hope you're well. I just wanted to, just one from me, just wanted to quickly ask about Taiwo Awoniyi and his impressive form. Of course,
Yeah.
he's carried it over from last season, 6-6 now, carried over from last season. From what you've seen and working with him, what's been the key to him carrying on his good run of form at the moment?
A little bit of luck with his availability. Although, as I said, I think after the Sheffield United game, it was a real stop-start pre-season for him, with his injury and one or two other things that popped up along the way. I think, like I said, being fit and touch wood, just stays like that is the biggest factor. But like anything, and we talked about it before, like just spending time in England, in the Premier League, in understanding how we want to play and his role. You know, T is a really positive guy. He's a really hard-working lad who has obvious strengths to his game, and I just think he's really sort of putting them to best use in the games, and getting good rewards. What I have to say as well is that he's training really well, and at the moment I think his game returns are a lot of consequence of his application and his and his ability shown in training, not his application, because all the guys show good application, and it's a non-negotiable anyway. But he really has taken his training pitch levels onto the game, and I think that's why so far he's had a good start. But like us all, you know, a big performance at Old Trafford wouldn't go amiss either.